So, first graders, last week we worked some with halves. Remember, if you have two equal shares, you have half. If something's divided in half, you know there are two of them and they're both the same size. Today we're working with something that I think you're probably familiar with also. If you had those two halves and you divided each half in half, you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. If we have 4 parts, we call it fourths. So today we're working with halves of halves. If you take a half and cut it in half, which gives you 4 parts, we call them fourths. So lesson 12.10, fourths. Do you see this word four is right in there? Fourth. And then fourths, you just put an S on the end of it. So use what you know about halves, draw to solve, and write how many. So here's the problem. This is it. I had been hoping it was a pie. It's a pizza. Two friends are going to share the pizza. So let's go ahead and draw that. Here's one part for one friend, and here's one part for another friend. Two more friends come. Now 4 friends will share the pizza. How can the pizza be cut so each friend gets an equal share? How many equal shares will there be? Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 friends, so we need to have 4 equal shares, right? And you guys know that we can divide it into fourths by putting another line across the middle the other way. All right, so just like we had the 2 halves over here and 1 whole, we have 1 whole that can be divided into 4 equal shares, but all of them together make this 1 whole. We call them fourths or quarters. Boys and girls, do you know that coin, that metal coin, the biggest one, or the biggest one that we usually use that's called a quarter? It's called a quarter because it is 1/4 of a dollar. 4 of them together make a dollar. So here, color a fourth of the shape. So I'm pretty sure you know how to do this, but just as an example, I'm going to do this one here. Now we could have colored any one of those sections, couldn't we? Because they're each a fourth. Same here and here. Color a quarter of the shape. Well, you guys know fourth and quarter are synonyms. They're words that mean the same thing. So same thing. Any one of these 4 sections in each shape is coloring the fourth or the quarter of it. All right. Circle the shapes that show fourths. So remember, you need 4 parts. It has to have 2 things. It has to be in 4 parts, and those parts have to be equal. If they're not equal, then it's not fourths. Now, conveniently, you only have a couple things here that don't show 4 equal parts. So take a look here. This is divided into 4 parts, and they're the same height for each one, aren't they? But if you look at that one, it's not the same as that one. So this one is not 4 equal parts. You have some others that are not 4 equal parts also. 3 different ways to show fourths. I bet you guys can do that. If you need some help, look back at some of these other shapes, even these that are in circles. You can imagine that that's a rectangle, not a rectangle, a square divided into fourths, right? And it can give you some ideas. Even this one here, if it were in a square, would those be fourths? Take a look and think about that last page here. Stacy drew a picture to show a quarter of a circle. Which one of these is a quarter of the circle? Circle the one that's a quarter of a circle, a fourth of it. Write halves, fourths, or quarters to name the equal shares. Now, for one of these 2 pictures, you could write 2 words, right? Because fourths and quarters, they're synonyms. They mean the same thing. You can write either one. Either one gives you great practice because 4 is an odd word, fourths is an odd word, and quarter has that QU. So you can choose either fourths or quarters to write for the one of these that has both. And then the other one is halves. Circle the shape that shows quarters. Think about that one carefully. Which shows fourths. Now again, think carefully. Fourths is both 4 parts, but not just 4 parts. They all have to be equal. They have to be the same. So find the one that shows 4 equal same parts. First graders, tomorrow is our test on chapter 12. And then you've gone all the way to the end of the book, but we haven't gone all the way through the rest of it, have it? We're going to work on a couple other things this summer, actually, just a little bit, just to kind of keep our mind going with math and get a few of those things caught up that we missed. We're not going to catch up everything that we missed this year, but we're going to get a couple of things caught up so that next year in second grade, it's a lot easier to jump into what we need to do.